Hi class, this is Ioana Evangeline speaking, your instructor for accounting for managerial accounting. So in this video, I want to give you an overview of our course and just kind of give you an overview what the course is going to look like and how it's going to work. Now, please note I am working out of a sample version of the course since at the time of making this video, the course shell that you'll actually be accessing is not yet available. But it'll look something like what we're going to be looking at right now and what I have in front of me. And that's also why you'll see some old due dates on the screen. So please ignore any due dates that look like they don't apply to you because they don't. All of those due dates that you might see showing up on a to-do list or in a module will be updated once your course starts. Now, for the course that I am making this video for in particular is for the summer session of managerial accounting. So this is an 8-week asynchronous online course. So before I get started, I just want everyone to make sure that they know that they signed up for a 8-week course that is asynchronous online. So what does that mean? So this course, we're not going to have any meeting sessions, whether it's in person or online. We won't be meeting as a class since the class is online asynchronous. And what does 8 weeks mean? So an 8-week managerial accounting course is going to be very quickly paced. So this is double the pace of our regular semester-long managerial accounting course. So if you're signed up for an 8-week version of this course, you just need to be prepared for the course to go quickly. So we'll be covering on average about 2 chapters a week. Some weeks we'll be doing 1 chapter as we lead up to exams. But just keep in mind that this course is very doable. It just is going to require a lot of dedication, strong time management skills, and discipline. So as long as you can work out your calendar ahead of time and decide when you'll be working on this course and how, you'll be successful. It's just very important to carve out the time needed to not only learn the material, but to actually get your homework assignments completed, get your quizzes in on time, and also to study and prepare for your exams. So it's definitely just a matter of time management, but you have a lot of resources at your disposal, which I'll show you here in a second. So I don't want to intimidate anyone. I just want to be upfront with my students before this course starts that it is going to require time and effort. But that doesn't mean it's not doable. You can definitely do it. But I just want us to go into this fully aware of the structure of the course. All right, and another thing that I have to mention is that the accounting department at Butte College has a policy where for classes like this one, because it's a transfer level course, all exams must be taken in person at the Chico Center or at your local proctoring site, wherever it may be that you live. If you don't live in the area where you are too far away from the Chico Center to test there, we have a contact. As of the making of this video, the person that you'll be contacting to organize a local proctor is Maya Clark. And I will include the information you need to contact her in our Canvas course. So you will know what our schedule is ahead of time, but we're going to have 4 exams in this course, exam 1, 2, 3, and the final exam, all of which need to be taken in person. Okay, so this is a department-wide requirement that these exams have to be proctored in person. Okay, so please take that into account as we start this class, because I will not be able to administer any of those exams online. You have to physically go and take those exams. Okay, and if you are concerned about finding a place to test, if you're out of the area, please don't worry about that. I just suggest that you reach out to Maya Clark as soon as the course starts, so we can get an early start on that process. She will work with you to get a proctor organized in your area. Okay, so as long as I have those important things out of the way, we can take a quick look at what our Canvas class is going to look like. What we're looking at right now is our homepage for our course. And what you'll see here is my contact information, my Google number, as well as my email address. You can contact me via both of these methods, but you can also contact me via the Canvas inbox. Either email or Canvas inbox work exactly the same. You can also send me a text message, and if necessary, we can organize a phone call. For the summer session, I won't be able to join on Zoom meetings or anything like that, but if necessary, I can hop on a phone call. So I will do my best to get back to your messages within 24 to 48 hours. If for some reason you haven't heard back from me, just send me a follow-up email. Sometimes the inbox gets full, so I'm never ignoring any of your messages. So if you're unsure whether or not I've received a message or I've at least seen that notification, go ahead and resend that message, and it'll pop up on my in my inbox or my notification feed. So you'll see here on the course homepage, there's a link for the course details module, which will show you how the course is going to work, a student resources module, and a diversity and accounting module, which includes awesome resources for not only some stories for certain individuals, but also links to professional organizations. So you might find some of those resources helpful. So I recommend you take a look when you have a chance. I've also broken down each module into a link down below, starting from the prologue all the way through chapter 12. So if you click on any of these, like for chapter 1, if you click on that link, it'll take you right to the chapter 1 module. Now, our class is broken up into 8 weeks, but for simplicity's sake, I have organized the Canvas module content by chapter. Okay, so it's not going to go by week, it's going to go by chapter. So if you know in a given week, let's say we're covering prologue through chapter 2, just make sure you progress through all of those modules for that week. Okay, because each module is going to include your homework assignments and quizzes for that chapter. Okay, so how about we start with the prologue? So just know you'll see a lot of items in these modules. Some of them might look a bit different by the time you open up your Canvas course, but for the most part, it should look pretty similar. So for the prologue, we don't have any graded material, but it's very helpful to read through the prologue and work through that material before you jump into chapter 1, because the prologue provides a nice foundation for managerial accounting and everything that we're going to be talking about. So you'll see for the prologue, we have learning objectives listed, a to-do list, and then there's links to our SmartBook assignment for within Connect, a PowerPoint slide, videos, and as well as, oh, sorry, that one up is not the SmartBook. That's a link to the ebook to read the prologue, and then the SmartBook link is here down below. So for most of the chapters, you'll see there's a practice exam along with a key. So this practice exam that you see here will not link to Connect. Instead, this is a traditional pen to paper kind of practice exam that I've included there for you for most of the chapters. So I highly recommend, because especially since we're going to be testing in a traditional format for those exams, that you work through each of these practice exams before you move on to the next chapter and make sure you understand all of those questions. But let's take a look at chapter 1, since this is going to be our first graded chapter. So you'll see that all of the modules are organized in a pretty much similar fashion. You'll have the learning objectives at the top, a to-do list, and then there's a learn section, a practice section, and an assess section. And the learn section is where you're going to find a link to the ebook for the chapter section of the ebook in particular. So if you haven't read chapter 1 yet, you can click on this and it'll take you right to the ebook so you can go read. I've also provided you with fill-in-the-blank reading notes along with a key for those reading notes. So I recommend that you try and fill those notes out to the best of your ability as you read, and then check your work. The key is there to make sure you're on the right track. So I would use the key after you filled out those notes. Then there's a PowerPoint slide for each chapter as well. And then you'll see there's an assigned videos link. The assigned videos are the videos I've created. Those have been assigned to you, and you should treat those as mandatory. But I've also provided you with an additional videos section here for each chapter. Those are optional. Those are not created by me, but those are videos I've curated from different creators on YouTube. Now, I believe it's the additional videos for chapter 1, the list is very long, but that creator, his videos are very short. So some of them are like 2 minutes long, for example. So although the list might be huge, I think this first list could take you probably a couple of hours to get through for all of that content. But those are optional. But maybe you decide, hey, I prefer the other creators' videos more than you like my videos, for example. That's fine. But you have to work through at least one set of these videos for every chapter. That's the one thing you want to keep in mind, because if you don't interact with the material, if you don't watch that lecture content, you're not interacting enough with that material before you go and attempt the homework and the quizzes. Students always ask me for my advice. I believe, and at least in my opinion, working through those videos and taking notes as necessary, I believe is more important than reading the chapter word for word. For me, what I would recommend, unless maybe you love reading textbooks and that's your primary way of taking notes, perfect. If you want to read in a very detailed fashion, that's perfect. But what I recommend to students that tell me, hey, I can't read and watch the videos, that's too much time. Well, I recommend skimming the chapter. Get familiar just with what we're talking about in the chapter, right? At least fill in those reading notes as you skim the chapter, and then go watch those videos and take detailed notes with the videos, okay? You have to watch at least one set of the videos in order to be successful, or at least to maximize your chance of success. I'm not just chucking a book at you and saying good luck. I've actually provided you with videos that walk you through that content. So please use those resources, whether it's my videos or the other set of videos, but make it a point to at least watch one set of those. So that's the learn section of each module. And then there's a practice section. So I'm not sure if I'm going to include direct links to all of these practice assignments directly within Canvas because it makes the module longer, but all of these practice assignments are available within Connect. And I'll probably pause the video here and show you what our Connect class looks like right now. But each chapter has what we call a smart book or a Learn Smart assignment, and it's basically like a digital flashcard set. It's not worth any points, but it's another tool for you to learn the material and refresh on material and kind of make sure, hey, where am I at with these concepts? What do I need to practice a bit more? Then there's a guided practice assignment for each chapter. Not graded, not worth any points, just another option. Okay, another resource for you. So these guided practice assignments are within Connect as well. And there's going to be little videos created by the publisher that you'll watch the short video and then it asks you some knowledge check questions at the end. Okay, then there's an optional foundational 15 assignment for each chapter, again within Connect. So this will look similar to what your homework looks like. So for the foundational 15 problems, it'll give you some information and it's going to ask you 15 foundational questions about the information provided. So it's basically it's asking you really brief questions that basically touch on at least the foundational concepts of the chapter. So it's a really great way to test where you're at before you dive into the homework or into the quiz. Again, optional, just another resource for you. And here's that practice exam I mentioned to you. That's a PDF or a Word document. So it's a pen to paper kind of practice exam along with the key. And then under the practice section, you'll find any other resources I've provided you with. In this case, there's a little cost behavior chart that I've included. And then finally, down to the assess section. This is where the points lie. So every chapter will have a homework assignment and a quiz. Okay? The homework and the quiz will be due on the same day. The homework, and both are within Connect, the homework, you can revise your homework as many times as necessary until the due date. So what does that mean? That means that pretty much every student should be hitting 100% or at least very close to 100% on their homework, because let's say you submit your homework and you got a 75% and you're like, darn it, I missed these couple of problems, you can go back into Connect, reopen that assignment. It'll pick up where you left off so you can fix your mistakes. So there's really no reason not to get as many points as possible with those homework assignments because it lets you try and try again until you get the score that you want. Okay? The quizzes, and again, the point values and the due dates here might change by the time you watch this video, so just keep that in mind because this is a sample course. There's also a quiz for each chapter. These quizzes are graded and proctored. It's proctored within Proctorio, which is all embedded within Connect. So that'll lock down your browser and such and prevent you from using other websites and programs. Now the quiz, it's going to be worth a little bit more points than the homework, but the quiz, you don't have unlimited attempts, but you do have 2 attempts. Okay, so if you don't like your quiz score the first time around, guess what? You can try again for a better score the second time. Now for chapter 1, there's also a course overview quiz. It's graded, but it's worth 0 points, which means that if you fail to complete the course overview quiz, you risk being dropped from the course. Because the course overview quiz, completion of that quiz is what lets me know that, okay, this student understands how the course is going to work and they're ready to get going. Okay, so even though there's no points here attached to the course overview quiz, if you don't want to risk being dropped, please make sure you complete that course overview quiz along with your chapter 1 homework and chapter 1 quiz. Okay, but please know these modules aren't organized by week, they're organized by chapter. So we're going to do chapters 1 and 2 all in 1 week, for example. So after you complete the chapter 1 module, you'll have to go and move on to chapter 2 module within that same week, okay? But you'll see, for example, chapter 2 is organized in the same way. There's a learning objective page, a to-do list, a learn section with all those same resources, a practice section with all those same resources, and then an assess section, which is going to include homework and a quiz. Okay, so it's after chapter 3 that you'll expect your first exam. So please refer to my announcements and the syllabus for up-to-date exam information and dates. But let's see here tentatively now, and again, you might not be in the summer course by the time you're watching this video, so I'm opening up a syllabus for summer 2023, but for those watching the video for summer 2023, our estimated schedule, let's take a look here. So exam 1 is going to be due on June 30th, exam 2 on July 7th, only a week difference there, right? Because we only don't have a lot of time. But then exam 3 won't be due until July 21st, and then our final exam will be due August 8th. So please stay tuned for details on when those exams will become available for you to go and test at the Chico Center or at your local proctor. But those are for now the final days that you can go and sit for those exams. Okay. So all of the modules, like I mentioned, are pretty much organized in the same way. So that means each module is going to be predictable. There's going to be nothing crazy out of the blue. So once you've kind of completed a couple modules, you'll kind of get into the swing of things and get an idea of what the flow looks like as you work through a chapter. Now, there's also a module for each exam that'll include any relevant review info as well as an exam discussion thread. These discussions are graded and part of your participation or engagement grade for the class. So make sure you complete your discussions. So there's going to be a discussion for exam 1, 2, 3, and your final exam. Okay, and I'll probably add in an introductions discussion here as well into our first module there. Okay, so I'm just scrolling here to kind of show you that all of these modules pretty much look the same. But if you want to hide any modules, you can always collapse them to save some space, or collapse them as you finish a module and then you move on to the next one. Okay, so for this class, keep in mind there's a people link here within your Canvas course so you can see who's in your class. So I recommend making friends in your online course. Some of you might be local and live in the same town. It's always a great idea to try and schedule or organize study groups. I really encourage that. You don't even have to meet in person, right? You can meet over Zoom with your peers. A course like this is really nice if you can form a little study group, even if it's just one other person. If you ever need me to help you maybe try and organize a study group, I'm happy to do so. Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording here in a second and open up Connect to kind of give you an idea of what that's going to look like. All right, here we are in our Connect course. So please note that by the time you watch this video, this might look a little bit different, but again, the concepts and the basic ideas stay the same. This is the Connect course for my summer session of 2023. And just keep in mind, I'm only in a sample version of Canvas here, so once we launch this course for your actual Canvas course, on the left here will be a McGraw-Hill Connect button. Okay, so once you click on that button, that's where you will register for Connect, for the Connect program that we need for this course. So you'll need to purchase a Connect code to access your ebook and to access all of your homework assignments and quizzes and all of the resources, the practice material, all of that will be accessed by purchasing a Connect code. So once that button is here, you just need to click on that button once and it'll prompt you to register and either input the code you already bought or to pay for the code directly through Canvas. Okay? You don't have to buy it at the bookstore. You can, but there will also be an option to buy it directly through Canvas. So here's what it will look like. Now keep in mind, if you can't buy your Connect code right away, that's all right. When you do register for Connect by clicking on this button, it'll give you the option to activate the 2 weeks of free access. So that'll give you full access for 2 weeks so you can get some more time to purchase your code. Now, something I want to mention before I forget. As of making this video, the Sharpen app, it's free. I think it might become something that they charge for, at least a small amount, by the time the fall semester starts. I think it might still be free during summer of 2023. However, this is a new app created by McGraw-Hill called Sharpen. You can download it on your Android device, on your iPhone device, and pretty much I think if you have an iPad or a tablet, anything that has an app store, you should be able to download it on there. This is an awesome new resource. So this is directly linked to our book or our text. So once you download the app, you just make sure you click on the book we're using, the same edition and author. And they have these many little videos and overview quizzes and study materials, flashcards, all of that for every chapter. So it's kind of designed to study on the go. So it's a really nice additional resource for you to use. So I highly recommend you use it, especially if it's still free. It's relatively new. I've really peeked into it and it looks really awesome. So please take a look at that app when you get a chance. So you'll see here in Connect, we have various folders. So this semester I've broken up all of the assignments, content, resources into folders by week and also by category up above instead of having a long list of assignments. So there's a section here for narrated PowerPoints. It's just a link to the PowerPoints for every chapter, and it has a voiceover for those that like to listen to the material that way. And remember those guided practice assignments, the foundational 15 I mentioned? I've grouped all of those assignments into folders. So if you click the drop down for guided practice, here's for the prologue all the way through to chapter 12. And I think looks like the chapter 8 was a bit out of order, but all of the chapters are here. So if you want to access the guided practice for chapter 2, you go ahead and click on it and it'll take you right there. Okay, and again, optional, you don't have to do those, just an additional resource. Same with the foundational 15, okay, another practice assignment. And something additional, which I think is really awesome, is the practice with Excel. So these are applying Excel assignments for chapter 1 all the way through chapter 12. So using an Excel file, you practice the concepts you're learning in that chapter, but within an Excel file, so you can practice those Excel skills. Totally optional, there for extra practice. But now we're getting down into the actual weeks. So I've broken it down into weeks from week 1 through week 8. So if I collapse or open up week 1 folder, you'll see this includes the prologue reading assignment here, as well as all the chapter 1 and 2 stuff. So anything with a reading icon or a book icon to the right is just a reading assignment. So if you click on that, it'll take you right to the ebook. where anything with an SB icon is a smart book assignment. So that is what I talked about. It's that adaptive reading kind of digital flashcard set. You kind of fill in the blank or multiple choice. The way that works, if you get a question wrong, it just puts it back in the deck, and that question will come up again, and you work through all those questions until you get them all right. Again, optional, additional resource, but I do include the reading assignments and the smart book assignments within the week folder here, because I don't want those to be treated as something I never have to do. I want you guys to be reminded that they're there, and they're there to help you learn the material. Okay, but the only graded items within each week is going to be the homework and the quiz for each chapter. So for week 1, we have a chapter 1 homework, a chapter 1 quiz, a chapter 2 homework, and a chapter 2 quiz within Connect that needs to be completed. Okay, chapter 2, just homework in general can be revised an unlimited number of times before you submit by the due date, and the quizzes can be completed twice before the due date. Okay. You'll see in week 2, however, we only have chapter 3, but there's a practice exam for exam 1 in here as well. So keep in mind that most problems in Connect are going to have a check my work feature. There's going to be a button to the right-hand side. And let's see if I go out of student view so I can show you what that looks like. Let's go to chapter 2 homework. So let's do student assignment view. So if I open up my homework assignment, you'll see the point value, which might change by the time you watch this, but it says a current attempt 1 of unlimited. So this homework assignment has 3 questions. So let's say I put an answer in here. Okay, there's a check my work button here to the right hand side. If I click check my work, it'll mark it green or red, depending on if my answer is right or wrong. So you will get 5 checks per homework problem for most of them. Now, only press submit when you're done with the entire assignment. If you want to save this homework and come back to it later, you can click save and exit. You can go from one problem to the next by clicking next or previous, or you can click on this grid icon to navigate between problems that way. Okay. And I will show you just an example of what the smart book looks like. Let's look on the chapter 1, for example. So here is what the landing page looks like for those smart book assignments. You can either click start reading if you haven't read yet, it'll take you to the ebook, or you can say, no, I want to start questions, and you'll click on the start questions. Here it'll ask you a question, okay? I'm just going to type in anything there. So it asks you for 2 blanks. Before you submit your answer, it'll ask you rate your confidence in your answer, high, medium, or low. I'm going to say I'm low on my confidence scale. And it'll mark it right or wrong, and it'll give you the correct answer. Okay, but since I got this question wrong, it's going to put it back in my slide deck. So I'm going to click next and ask me another question. Okay, I'm going to answer it and say I'm medium confident. Oh, it marked it right. So now that I got this question right, it'll take it out of the stack of questions, and you'll just move through these questions until you get them all correct. And again, just a practice assignment, but really recommend that you do this for each chapter because it helps you really to solidify your understanding of that material. Okay. Now, let me just go back to student view here really quickly. You have a link to your ebook from here as well. Okay, so anytime you want to go back to the ebook, you can click on here and you can go back to reading the ebook. So for the most part, like I said, each week is pretty much going to be comparable to the previous in terms of the flow and what it's going to look like. So at the very least, you can expect a homework and quiz to be due each week for at least 1 to 2 chapters. And if there's an exam that's coming up, we don't take a whole week just to take an exam. Keep in mind the content coverage continues. We do move on to the next chapters, even though there's an exam, because again, it's only an 8-week course, right? So I recommend that as we start the course day one, to plan out your calendar and mark these due dates into your calendar, put reminders in your phone so that you don't forget to submit your work. Now, keep in mind your exams are a big portion of your course grade. So doing the homework and the quizzes is so important because it makes sure that you're practicing the material and checking to see where you're at. Okay. And please don't treat these practice exams as optional because they are such a great way to practice for an actual exam to be taken in person. Okay. So if you are in my summer session, um, please make sure to go through the course details module and take that course overview quiz as soon as possible because, again, like I mentioned, the pace is really quick. And you want to make sure you know exactly how this course is going to work. Again, I can be reached via email, text, Canvas inbox. If you need to speak with me over the phone, you can organize a time for us to chat over the phone. Just make sure to email me and we can get that sorted. Please make sure you're reading all of the announcements I send out. Those will always include important information to you. But again, never hesitate to reach out with questions. I welcome questions. That's how we learn, right? So if you have any questions as we get started on the course or how the course is going to work on materials, please do not hesitate to let me know. I hope everyone has a wonderful time during this course.